In today's video, we survived 100 days in Minecraft, except we're a dolphin. My friends and I joined a multiplayer morph SMP, and this is what happened. The goals for this video are to blow up a base, conquer a bastion, and defeat the Ender Dragon. I'm trying to hit 50k by the end of the year, and I think we can do it. If you guys could hit that subscribe button, it would be very epic. Also, hit the like button to make the algorithm go brr, and let's get into it. Day 1. I started off at a bit of a different place. I spawned in a huge ocean right next to a pirate ship. There were a ton of other dolphins around me, so I'm guessing they thought I was one of their friends. First thing I wanted to do was get into the ship. Dolphins aren't exactly made for land, so getting up the side was a bit difficult. The ship was filled with mobs, and I soon started taking damage. Turns out, dolphins can't stay out of water for too long, so that's a big problem. I started hunting for fish in order to have a supply of food. Fish were the easiest to find, so I stocked up and headed for land. I had to pay close attention to my oxygen levels during the whole time. Staying on land for 1 second too long could mean the end for me. Luckily, as a dolphin, I could still mine with my fists. Or, I guess, my fins? I don't know. Whatever they are, it worked. I gathered some wood and made my way down in search of materials. I needed a bucket as soon as possible, so that I could take water with me wherever I went. I made sure to keep a stream of water behind me while mining so that I always had some close by. After mining for a bit, I found a ravine, and it was loaded with iron and coal. And when I say loaded, I mean it. There was a ton of coal and iron. I was actually super lucky, but there were zombies nearby as well. I ran over and grabbed some of the iron and then decided to go deal with the zombies. I tried picking them off one by one, and it wasn't too bad. I got my iron and made a bucket. And finally, I didn't have to worry about my water anymore. I got jumped by some more zombies and they almost killed me. I was literally half a heart. I don't know how I made it out. I found some more iron, mined it, and I finally got an iron pickaxe. Now that I had some spare iron after I had my pickaxe, I was able to make some armor and I was less scared about dying, but I still was pretty weak. After that, I started mining back up to the surface. I was ready to get back to the water. When I got back up, I explored the ocean a little bit and I found this crazy looking ruin. I saw a treasure chest in there, so I figured I'd try to loot it. There was a drowned guarding it, but he didn't seem to be too much of a threat. He was pretty hidden in there by himself, so I just left him be. However, I quickly learned that he was not happy. He definitely told his friends or something, because when I went to try to loot a second ruins that I found, there were a ton of drowned. There were a lot of chests, and I tried to get to them, but I was overwhelmed pretty quickly, and the loot wasn't even that good. I grabbed what I could find and tried to fight the drown off, but they were pretty strong in numbers. I quickly got surrounded, and I couldn't handle them. They almost killed me again. I've almost died so many times already, so I didn't want to deal with that anymore. I swam away and I went towards the snowy biome. There were huge mountains here, bigger than anything I had ever seen before in Minecraft. In between these mountains was this really beautiful frozen lake. I figured that I could swim under it worst case, but there was this igloo next to it. I went inside the igloo to loot it, but there didn't seem to be too much going on. Whoever had been here before had probably taken everything with them. After that, I went down the river and I was looking for anything I could find in order to get stronger. I came across an icy ocean that had a ton of fish, as well as another ruin. However, this one was guarded by a bunch of guardians. I knew there was no way that I could fight these guys, but for some reason, I thought I could sneak in and grab the loot. I looked inside and I couldn't see a single chest. I had put myself in a really bad situation for no reason. Since I got so close, they were able to put their status effect on me and I was slowed. I went back in to try to attack them, but they nearly one-shot me, so I swam away as fast as I could. I got on some of the ice and started running. I wanted to get back to somewhere safer where I wasn't gonna die every second. I got pretty deep under the ocean where I thought nothing would really bother me, and I got to work building a house. I used some of my wood from earlier to build some walls, but this drowned got in my way. He had a trident and he kept throwing it at me. It was super annoying. I tried to ignore him at first, but then he actually started dealing damage. I tried to go in for a kill and he almost killed me, so I backed off and healed up. Luckily though, while I was fighting him, this jellyfish came by and killed him for me. I'm guessing this was another player, but I'm not super sure. He swam around the area and protected me for a while I kept building. It was super nice of him. He handled every other mob, and he seemed pretty strong. I kept on building my house with the wood, and I added some slots for some windows. I had to go get some sand and make sure that I had the glass that I needed. My house was pretty basic, but it did the job. I didn't plan on staying here for too long, but at least to store some of my valuables. I gathered some sand to make some windows, and then it was time to get to work. I made a door to put at the front of my house, but I soon realized that I was too big to fit through. Dolphins can't fit through a 1x1, so I had to open up the entire front. I figured having a door wouldn't be too big of an issue. The only thing that was really underneath the water was fish. After putting the glass panes down, I opened up other sides of my house so that I could see more around me and be ready for attacks. In the end, my house looked pretty good, and even the fish liked it. After I was done, I headed down into this underwater cave, and I got to looking for diamonds. I knew there had to be at least some down here. I found some more iron and I got it just so I could make some more armor. I was actually really happy that I was a dolphin because it made swimming in underwater caves super easy. These caves are usually pretty annoying, but this made it a breeze. After swimming around for a little bit and looking around the lava, I finally found it. Diamonds! I got really lucky with these veins. I actually got quite a few diamonds. I was lucky that they weren't by any lava so they wouldn't burn. And everything was already turned into obsidian. After I got my diamonds, I made a diamond pick so that I could get some obsidian to build my nether portal. I knew that it was a perfect time to go to the nether now that I was geared up and I was ready to go. However, I wasn't too sure how I was going to survive in the nether without water, but that was an issue that I'd deal with later. I was just ready to get out. Mining obsidian was super slow, but I knew if I didn't do it now, I wouldn't want to do it later either. After I gathered my obsidian, I tried it, flew past me. I had no idea where it came from. Turns out there was a skeleton in the cave with me, but he wasn't a normal skeleton. He had a weird plant on his head and he had a sword. He started hitting me and trying to beat me up. And after that, he brought out a trident and threw it at me again. This skeleton was serious business, but I thought I could fight him. I ran towards him and started hitting him with my fists. And I actually do a lot of damage as a dolphin. I killed him pretty quick. After I got through with my battle, I came back up and I was ready to build my nether portal. The only problem was I was underwater, so I couldn't exactly light it right away. I'd have to figure out a way to block the water from the middle of the portal. I was super excited to finally go to the nether. I felt like my life had been entirely for this. I still didn't really know how a dolphin was going to survive, but I guess I had to find out. So after I built it, I covered the sides and I blocked myself in so that all the water would drain out. Then I was good to go. I lit the portal and to the nether I was. As soon as I got there, I immediately couldn't breathe. Everything was bad and I was stressed out, but this fox came up to me and put me in a bucket. He was pretty friendly, and together with the fox, I ran through the nether. He guided me to a lot of really crazy places. This nether was nothing like anything I'd ever seen before. The mod pack used for this was crazy, and it added so many new blocks and structures. The fox seemed to know how to navigate pretty well, as he was able to jump pretty far. Do you see how well he handled that fireball? He knew his way around the nether. The nether itself was super scary. There were a lot of different towns, structures, and mobs that I had never seen before. The fox told me that he was going to take me to meet his friend later. Something about a strider? I wasn't too sure, but I figured it'd be fine. But seriously, look at this nether. It was absolutely beautiful. There were so many lush biomes that we had never seen before. There was also this crazy mushroom that you could jump on. It was actually insane. We were running for quite a while, but the fox seemed to know where he was going. It was pretty interesting to see how he traveled. I was super scared he was just gonna drop me into lava, but we actually traveled pretty well together. We ran into the strider again, but we didn't pay him too much mind. Apparently he was preparing to go to the end, so I told him I'll go with him later. The fox took me over to this bastion and it was actually pretty crazy. He was able to sneak by all of the piglins, and he took me up to all of the chests. With the help of the fox, I was able to get some pretty crazy loot. I ended up finding some diamond armor and a diamond axe later on. I was really lucky that the fox was able to help me go through because I was able to sneak by. Look how speedy he was. He was actually so helpful. I found a few more chests, but the loot wasn't too crazy. I thought I was geared enough with the diamond armor that I found. After running through the bastion for a little while longer, the fox told me he thought we had gotten everything there was. So we decided to leave and we headed north. He made some really crazy jumps over lava that I don't think I could have done as a dolphin. After we were running around for a while, we came up on this golem. He was massive, but the fox said that we could take him. I peeked my head out of the bucket as the fox did his hits, and I was able to hit the golem with my axe. However, the golem didn't aggro me. I guess he didn't see me in the bucket. We were doing really good. We worked well as a team, and eventually the golem transformed. His red cracks turned blue, and he was entirely different. He was super strong now, but we were able to take him on. I kept landing blows with my axe, and eventually he died. 2 small golems spawned where he died, and it was really weird. I don't know why they showed up, but I didn't think too much about it and I kept going. The golem actually dropped some pretty strong loot. It dropped the netherite scrap as well as some other weird things that I had never seen before. The baby golems didn't seem aggressive, so we left them be. We didn't want to kill them since, you know, they were babies. The fox and I kept running through the nether and we were looking for a way out. Eventually we found a nether portal, so we decided that it was time to leave. After we located the nether portal, we went through and finally I could get out of that bucket. It was super cramped in there. The fox put me out and finally I was free. It felt good to be able to swim out in the overworld again. The fox started running off on his own. He told me that he wanted to show me something, so I followed along. I was hoping that he wasn't trying to play any tricks on me because you know how sly foxes can be. And we were running for a pretty long time. Eventually, we came up on this house. I was guessing that it was his house, but I wasn't too sure. It was actually pretty nice. It was built pretty well and it was pretty fox-sized, I guess. After we killed the zombies outside that decided to get in our way, we headed inside of his house. There was a chest and there was some seeds, and he showed me the inside. However, he led me out another exit, and it turns out it was right next to a woodland mansion. The mansion was huge, but I knew that there was going to be some good loot. I was scared though, because I knew I wasn't strong enough to fight it on my own. The fox made my worries disappear, because when we got upstairs, he gave me a totem of undying. I don't know how rich this fox was or where he got it, but I wasn't going to ask any questions. I kept following the fox through the woodland mansion until I found this pillager. He was really strong and he almost killed me. The second one we fought actually did kill me, but I got saved by the totem. I was really stressed. But the fox was really strong. I was super glad that I ended up meeting this fox. After we ran through and killed all the pillagers that we could find, we left the mansion, and on our way out, we ran into this giant problem. There was this huge orc guy outside. I was guessing that he was the leader of the pillagers inside and that he was really mad. He did some serious damage, but it turns out he wasn't that strong. We were able to take him down in a few hits, and finally, we didn't have to worry about anything anymore. At least that's what I thought. Once we got back, the fox was just staring at a block and I was kind of confused. I didn't really know what he was doing. After getting my bearings, I went up there to see what he was doing. He looked so stupid. I really didn't understand why he was just staring at the ground. I kind of laughed at him, but I realized that I was the dumb one. And it turns out he had a secret contraption this whole time. He broke the block that he was looking at and he had a lever set up to some contraption in there. After he hit the lever, I heard some big explosions. I ran outside to see what was going on, but it was too late. He blew up the entire mansion right in front of my eyes. It was actually crazy. This fox had some serious power. The mansion was absolutely destroyed and there's no way that anybody in there survived that. But you know what? I think they deserve it. They did try to kill me, but yeah, their mansion was completely destroyed. There was nothing left of it, and I hope that they never come back from it. After that, I left the scene of the crime, and I hoped that nobody would hunt me down for blowing up the mansion. There was a big plains area right by where the mansion had been, so I made a run for it. I was really scared that some pillagers might follow me from the rubble, but luckily, none survived as far as I could tell. I kept running, and I found this pillager outpost pretty close by. For some reason, there weren't any pillagers inside, but I'm guessing they got scared after we blew up the mansion and killed their friends. It was actually a ghost town inside this outpost, but I was kind of happy because I didn't want to deal with any more pillagers. We climbed up to the top of the tower and there was a chest. The loot was actually crazy. There was a really strong bow inside and a ton of arrows. I was actually super strong now, and I was pretty confident that I'd be able to kill the ender dragon later. After I grabbed the bow, I kept running. I needed to get some ender pearls before I ended up going to the end because I didn't have any ender eyes. I ran for a while until it became nighttime, and I finally found some endermen. I started hitting him, but they did do quite a bit of damage to me. However, my diamond armor was enough to hold them off for a while. I kept killing them as much as I could because I knew I'd need a lot of pearls, especially if I was gonna get there and have a empty portal frame. The Strider told me that he had already gotten the blaze rods needed, so I wasn't too worried about having to go back to the Nether. However, I killed as many endermen as I could to make sure I had enough pearls. These endermen were actually pretty tough. They almost killed me a few times. As soon as I was done killing them, I made a run for it. I wanted to try to meet up with the Strider again, but I wasn't too sure where he was. They didn't exactly tell me where to go. I swam for a while until I found any sign of life. It was nice to finally be back in the ocean. Home sweet home. Swimming in the ocean was so much nicer than being on land. I didn't have to worry about my oxygen or anything. I wish I could have played the whole game right here. I needed to talk to that Strider and figure out how we were gonna get to the end. And eventually I came upon a village. I wasn't sure if it had been looted already, but I hadn't been there, so I hoped there would be at least something. I ran through the village for a little bit and went straight for the blacksmith. I figured the blacksmith would have the best loot, and I wanted to try to top up my gear before I went anywhere else. I was kind of scared the Ender Dragon might be a little OP with these mods. It could have like 3 heads or something. Who knows? I just knew we had to kill it. Sadly, the blacksmith kinda sucked. The loot wasn't that good, but I was surprised by the fox and the Strider right behind me. It seems they knew I came here and they were ready to go. They told me that they were ready to get going, so I gave the Strider the Ender Pearls, and in exchange, he gave me some weird ruby. I guessed that it was probably valuable, but I wasn't too sure. I wasn't too worried though, because he was helping me get to the end. After that, I followed him straight towards the way the eye went. It was straight towards the ocean, and I was a little worried that he might have a tough time, but he was ahead of me. The land went on for much longer than I thought it did, so the Strider was safe for quite a while. He could actually get pretty far without even having to get in the water. After that, he was able to build below him, so that was pretty smart of him. However, we didn't cross the ocean yet because we found this really cool floating island. I figured it might have some cool loot, so we headed up there. There was a stream of water coming down from the island, and it looked really beautiful. I was hoping that there wasn't any hard bosses or anything up there. We decided to make a quick stop there and then keep going. Going up the water was a breeze for me since I'm a dolphin, but it wasn't so easy for the Strider. He was having a tough time. Striders can't touch water, so he couldn't really swim up. After we got up, I checked through the chest and there were some music discs. I wanted to take them, but sadly we didn't have a music box. The fox led the way and we explored the floating castle a little bit. There appeared to be a dungeon, but I wasn't too worried about looting it right now. I figured I was strong enough to fight the dragon already, and I didn't want to die when I had gotten this far. After that, we went back down and we got into the ocean, ready to go toward the end. We swam as fast as we could towards the portal, but I got hit by some pufferfish along the way. I don't know what they had against me. I had gone too far to die to these pufferfish, so I just kept going. Eventually, after swimming, we came upon this jungle, and I was a little worried that it would be hard to get through. I have a strong hatred for jungles, and I mean strong. They are so annoying to get through. With all the bamboo and vines and everything else, it feels like I'm going through a maze. I had to go through a bunch of bamboo and eventually some treetops. It was really hard not to fall off, and some of these jumps were really difficult, but after a while of running on the top of the trees, we made it to the stronghold. There were a lot of mobs here, and I was really afraid that I was gonna die here as well. But my friends were there to help me, and eventually we found the portal room. It was kind of tricky to find my way through the stronghold, but I finally found the portal. Once we were ready to go, I placed all the eyes in, and it was time to go to the end. Finally, to fight the Ender Dragon. And at last, here we are. Day 100. We all spawned together on this obsidian platform really far away, and I was scared. It already did not look like the normal end. The towers were reinforced with this crazy design. I also had to constantly keep putting water down, or else I was gonna die. I was really lucky that water is allowed in the end. I went straight to shooting at the towers, and I unleashed a ton of arrows. My friends were there helping me too, and they were actually a really good shot. Finally, after a ton of arrows later, the dragon landed and we were comboing him like nothing else. My friends and I were doing crazy damage, and I don't think I could have done this without them. We couldn't use beds on the dragon since there was a different design in the middle. I was really lucky that I ended up getting this axe because it helped a lot during the dragon fight. The damage was actually more than a normal diamond axe. However, the dragon launched me back really far, and I got a really crazy clutch. I got super lucky with that. I'm surprised I didn't die then and there. I was having to be really careful running around the end so that I didn't lock eyes with any Endermen, because I knew they would kill me almost immediately if they did. I kept shooting at the dragon, trying to get in some hits, but he was too fast. The dragon was really hard to kill in this version. After a few more arrow shots, the dragon landed again, and we got back to comboing. We did some crazy damage yet again, and I knew the end was near. I was so happy. Get it? Because we're in the end? Anyway, the dragon was super low, but my friend got launched back, and he did this insane boat clutch. The Strider couldn't clutch with water since he'd take damage, so he was actually really cracked. I made sure to eat some food to make sure I wasn't gonna die, and finally, we landed the last shots on the dragon. This was a really stressful fight, but we did it. We killed the Ender Dragon in 100 days.